NASCAR swore there was nothing to see. Not enough evidence, no penalty. Shane van Gisbergen and Austin Hill both walk. And then, 2 days after clearing them, the same officials quietly booked both drivers for a closed-door meeting this weekend at Atlanta. Think about that. You do not haul in 2 men you just declared innocent. NASCAR pulled the telemetry, combed every radio channel from Chicagoland, studied the wreck that spun Hill into the wall, and decided it could not touch either driver on the official report. Then it moved to deal with them anyway. Somewhere that report will never show. So what did NASCAR actually rule when it ruled no penalty? And why does a meeting nobody filmed matter more than the verdict everybody saw? Here is why this is bigger than one spin in Stage 1. For years, the penalty report has been treated as NASCAR's verdict. But there is a second layer of discipline in this sport that never touches that report. And this week, NASCAR showed the entire garage exactly how it works. This is not about whether Van Gisbergen deserved 25 points taken off his total. It is about how NASCAR polices revenge when it cannot prove revenge, and what it still costs a driver, even when the box score says he paid nothing. Both cars roll back out at Atlanta this weekend. So let's start with the question nobody in the media center wanted to answer out loud. What is a NASCAR meeting, really? Start with what a meeting actually is, because it is not what it sounds like. When NASCAR says it will meet with 2 drivers, it does not mean a quiet handshake in the garage. It means competition leadership pulling both men into the hauler at the next race and putting a warning on the record that will never appear on any public document. Cup Series Managing Director Brad Moran ran the Chicagoland review. Senior Vice President Elton Sawyer has already been on the phone with Austin Hill. That is not housekeeping. That is the sanctioning body telling 2 drivers that their next move will be judged against this conversation. And here is the part that changes how you hear the no penalty ruling. NASCAR reaches for a meeting precisely when it cannot prove the case. A points penalty can be appealed. A fine can be fought in front of a panel. A meeting cannot, because officially it never happened. There is no number to overturn and no document to challenge. So when the sanctioning body clears you in public and then books you in private, it is not being generous. It is choosing the one form of leverage that leaves no fingerprints. Which brings us back to the wreck NASCAR supposedly could not explain. Now, the wreck itself. Lap 48, still inside Stage 1. Van Gisbergen's number 97 got to the back bumper of Hill's number 33 and sent the Richard Childress car hard into the wall. Hill's afternoon ended on the spot. He climbed out, convinced it was deliberate, and if you only watched the replay, you would probably side with him. But a replay is not what NASCAR judges, and the thing that saved Van Gisbergen was never on the track at all. NASCAR reviewed the telemetry, the video, and every radio channel both teams ran. Managing Director of Racing Communications, Mike Forde, laid out the standard they were chasing. Nothing in our eyes proved definitively this was 100% intentional and penalty-worthy, Forde said. Sit with that sentence, because it is not the question you assumed. NASCAR was not asking whether Van Gisbergen wrecked him. It was asking whether Van Gisbergen could be proven to have meant it, out loud, on the record. And oh, there is one more piece of this that nobody at NASCAR once said plainly. Back in May, Ryan Preece got docked 25 points and fined $50,000 for wrecking Ty Gibbs at Texas. The contact was not worse than Chicagoland. The difference was that Preece keyed his radio first. When I get to that 54, I'm done with him, Preece told his team. And then he went and did it. Forde's own explanation was blunt. He said what he said, and then he did what he said. That is the entire line. That is the whole difference between a 25-point penalty and a clean sheet this season. Not the severity of the wreck, the radio, and it is not as if NASCAR lacked a motive to point at with Van Gisbergen. 2 weeks earlier, on the street course at Coronado in San Diego, Austin Hill slid into Van Gisbergen's Trackhouse teammate Connor Zilisch on a restart and triggered a crash that wiped out both Trackhouse cars at once. Go back to Pocono, and Hill was tangled in the contact that put Van Gisbergen into the wall there too. Forde admitted the officials went in hunting for exactly that. We looked to see if there were any anomalies throughout the race, and something that spurred this that maybe was payback from earlier, he said. They found the motive. They never found the confession. Van Gisbergen keyed no threat on the radio, did the same kind of damage Preece did, and walked. Which means the no penalty ruling was never a statement about innocence. It was a statement about silence. So look at what NASCAR has quietly built. There are two justice systems running side by side in this garage. The public one, the penalty report, needs proof. A smoking gun, a driver dumb enough to narrate his own revenge. The private one, the meeting, needs nothing at all. When NASCAR cannot win in the first system, it moves you into the second. That is what happened here. The no penalty was never NASCAR saying Van Gisbergen was innocent. It was NASCAR admitting it could not prove the words, so it shifted the punishment somewhere proof is not required. People thought no penalty meant Van Gisbergen walked free. It actually means his punishment got moved to a room where he cannot appeal it and you cannot see it. And the meeting is not about Chicagoland at all. You do not warn a man about a wreck that already happened. You warn him about the next one. The whole point of dragging both drivers into that hauler is to put a file on the record before Atlanta, so that the next time these two touch, it is not a racing incident anymore. It is a repeat. So no, Van Gisbergen did not walk free. He caught the one penalty that never shows up in the standings and can never be appealed. A private warning, invisible, unrecorded, delivered by the exact people who decide his next ruling. Hill got pulled in beside him because NASCAR's real fear was never the spin at Chicagoland. It is what these two do at Atlanta with all of it still unsettled, which is the reason NASCAR admits the meeting exists at all, to keep this from boiling over. Remember, both of these cars are Chevrolets, the same manufacturer, so NASCAR cannot even hide this behind a brand war. This is personal, and personal is the hardest thing in the sport to police. The ruling everybody saw on Tuesday was the decoy. The real ruling happened Saturday, in a hauler, with no cameras running. Van Gisbergen did not beat the system. He just met the half of it that keeps no records. So the next time NASCAR tells you there was not enough evidence, ask what it put on the calendar for Saturday. Was the no penalty ruling justice, or only the part they were willing to show you? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.